Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles. Welcome back to the full card breakdown. This time for UFC Vegas 105. We're doing this one a bit later than usual, but we have had ourselves a tumultuous past 48 hours, to say the least there. Yeah, big vocabulary for today. But no, we had ourselves not only a short notice replacement come in, take over here, Mr. Euron Salty Baldiev, or like to call him on the Established Run channel, Mr. Cool Hat, because that's what he looks like in a lot of these things. And we also have our fight cancellation, unfortunately, with Grant getting canceled in that one too. So, a different slate now than I would have made the video yesterday. So kind of happy I waited. But as always, make sure to check out Established to Run for my full thoughts on DraftKings content and Cool Bet for my boost and other betting stuff I have going out this week. Now, with all that out of the way, we still have ourselves plenty of fights to talk about, and I kind of like going quick fire through them. So let's do just that. Starting with our very first fight of the night, we have Toledo Alencar, Vanessa Demopoulos. Fun fight, net currently evens, and I understand why. The more I look at this one, Alencar should be able to get takedowns at will. She's a primary grappler, and she's very good at doing so. Something like 24 takedowns in Contender Series, and Vanessa Demopoulos is easily taken down because she does tend to have some decent success on the ground while down there. However, with all that at hand, although Alencar may have a clearer path to success with the grappling, with the jiu-jitsu potentially down there, I think Vanessa Demopoulos is pretty safe down there most of the time. She's not getting her glove grabbed and can probably win minutes in the striking. So I favor the cardio of Demopoulos. I favor the volume on the feet, and I favor the level of experience. And although Alencar has a path to like 20 takedowns here, she's going to need to fight to her strengths in order to win this one. I don't always trust her too often. So I actually ended up picking Demopoulos to win straight up. However, Alencar right now is a much better DraftKings play. There's no doubt about it. Just because she has the opportunity to land takedowns, it probably has more finish upside of the two. If you're playing DraftKings, take Alencar, but I did pick Demopoulos, gun to my head. There, the short notice replacement, Salty Badiev versus Martin Budai. Very interesting fight. I did a bunch of research on Salty Badiev last night. He looks fun. Does a lot of wars. He's very offensively minded, but lacks that defense. Not the best minute winner, not the most processed. He can be put in some precarious situations on the ground, but offensively, solid takedowns, solid power. He can pass the guard, and he's been able to snap a couple arms or Kimura a couple people on the lower regional scene there as well. But he is a pretty offensively minded fighter. I'm interested to see what happens when he's put on the back foot, when he is taken down, when he is hit with damage. Doesn't always seem like the best fighter. Seems kind of like a offense first, and then how does he face adversity kind of thing. So cardio also in question, but Budai is not necessarily the guy to necessarily take advantage of that. Budai is a big heavyweight who is not the most powerful, isn't going to shoot takedowns too often. He's kind of a clinch fighter with decent range and volume from the outside as well. So I think that Salty Bondia probably has more finish equity in the spot here, being more explosive, being the one to probably initiate the takedowns. But the longer this fight goes, favor the cardio of Budai, for the minute winning of Budai, and if Budai can get on top, 44-pound advantage is huge this week. So in a spot like this, I kind of want to take Salty Bondia just because of the finish upside, and on DraftKings, he's probably my preferred play of the two, just because Budai is going to be so popular, and what's his path? Probably a decision-based thing. So with the popularity going against him, you get yourself some leverage on the field and some finish ups on Salty Body F, although you do have to have some Budai because of his price tag. Betting-wise, I don't mind a shot on the under here if it comes out in your evens. Right now, under 2.5 is evens. I take a shot on the fight doesn't go at even, just because it's a heavyweight fight, variant, short notice for Salty Body F, 44-pound discrepancy, and a guy who is as offensively minded as him. Should be fun, but very interesting matchup there. Then Henry versus Falcao, not the same optimism about this one. I think Falcao has a path with the grappling, but more times than not, Victor Henry is a pretty solid defensive grappler, a guy who's able to keep this upright and will have a huge volume and skill advantage on the feet here. So I did end up picking Victor Henry. The issue I have with this one is just I think Falcao's probably able to have success early with the grappling, and that kind of limits the upside of someone like Victor Henry. Additionally, on the feet, Falcao is kind of willing to let's say, lower the amount of exchanges they have. So he's willing to fight slow. So Victor Henry's not a guy I'm getting too much on DraftKings this week. He's more of a fade for me. And from a pick perspective, I picked Henry. I don't know if I can get there on a money line at minus 200, though. So kind of a pass for me on this spot here. Although I did pick Victor Henry to get it done. And you could argue Falcao has some grappling upside on DraftKings. Like Mooney versus Nunes, you guys know I love me some Estela Nunes. I bet on her. She's got me some money. This is a horrible matchup for her. She's a primary striker with no ground game, no cardio, and not the best minute winning because she is so explosive and she really focuses on the power. And Lubumi's got phenomenal tie clinch, great durability, and more volume than her. So I think Lubumi can not only land more volume, land more impactful shots, but also dictate the clinch and potentially even mix in some takedowns there with better cardio as the fight goes on. I think this spot Lubumi should win a lot of the time. To this point where the line is, maybe not, but I do like Lubumi, and on DraftKings, she's nothing but a pivot play from Barbosa and Murphy up top, who will be extremely popular. You have to favor them over Lubumi, but I think it's a path. I kind of like the fight doesn't go here. If it was north of plus 200, I probably should have taken a spot shot back then. But right now, right, plus 195, I don't mind it. If Estela Nunes is boom or bust, she's usually finished early or get finished late, and I think Lubumi's going to be able to have success. I'll look at the submission lines, the KO lines for Lubumi, because I do think she wins more times than not, and those pay a pretty penny. I think that the later this fight goes, the more she has the cardio edge, and the more she can mix in the grappling. So give me Lubumi. Frunza versus McKee, another spot where I don't mind Frunza either as a let's restart that one, because I did not mind Frunza on the Daniel Contender series. I bet on him. I bet on him to win by KO for a decent, pretty penny there as well. And I think the guy is an okay fighter. I mean, he's got solid pressure, very good boxing and doing so as well. But I think he lacks the athleticism. They're not has the best ground game either. And he's giving Reese McKee the matchup he wants here. Reese McKee 0-4 inside the UFC, but has lost to fighters that don't really have the same, who have more athleticism than someone like Frunza here. So I think it'd be a really close matchup. I kind of favor McKee. I picked him. I think he's going to get the matchup he wants, a fight that's going to dictate a range. And I favor let's say the range, the hand speed of McKee, the level of experience, even the potential ground game shall go there as well. Yes, Frunza is going to march forward. Yes, he's going to look at those box changes unless he has power, but I favor the length of McKee, and he gets to the punch quicker. And I think it's a really close fight to which I got to pick the underdog in his level of experience. If Frunza was just a better athlete with it, maybe that's more success, but we still have more to learn from him. Reese McKee is 0-4 for a reason. Maybe this is dumb, but I am picking Reese McKee. DraftKings wise, 7.6K. Give me McKee. I don't mind that here. Should be a fun fight overall. Barbosa Belbita. I love me some Belbita. Stony Creek girl from Canada, but a tough matchup. The athleticism of Barbosa, her ability to get it down to the ground, and down there she's very, very dangerous. Belbita's been submitted by some pretty low-level competition. Jojua, Molly McCann. I think it is a clear path to victory for Barbosa on the ground. To the extent of minus 1100, probably not. But I still do think that it's a spot that Barbosa should win. She should get down to the ground. She's more athletic of the two. If this fight is extended on the feet, Belbita could land volume, but I think Barbosa is more athletic because take it down and probably does dominate on the ground. I've seen these other distance lines get bet up a ton. You have to expect that. DraftKings wise, Barbosa is a solid option to top range, ground upside, finish upside, can win early on. I like more than Lakboonme, but she will come with more ownership. However, I do think it's warranted. I do think she has a clear path. Then we have Valentin and Finney, probably my favorite fight in the entire card. I think this one's awesome. I like Torres Finney. He's cool. He's a fun prospect because of his size, his stature, and he's pretty entertaining on the mic as well. But he is very one-dimensional. He wants to go out there, take you down, struggles on the feet. It's not for the best level of competition. Can't always pass as too well. Luckily for him, he faces someone in Robert Valentin who can be taken down pretty easily. So it's just really who gets off in their game plan. I've been thinking about this all week. I think gun to my head, I'm picking Torres Finney because he's such a clear path. But I really want to take Robert Valentin this week. He's got such a clear height and reach discrepancies and much more of a power edge on the feet. He's got good lateral motion to keep this standing a little bit of the time as well. And he can flow from top position. Shall he get there as well? Now, the issue we have with him, he's probably going to be taken down, probably going to be stalled down there. But on the feet, it's a clear striker versus grappler matchup. I like the power of Valentin. I think he's a pretty dedicated fighter, kind of scared me an ultimate fighter, but I do think he is more live than the line entails. I did pick Finney, although I do think the line is wide, so if it keeps climbing, I'll take a shot on some Valentin by KO here if the price is right. DraftKings wise, one of my favorite fights to target, either it's going to be Finney by a ton of takedowns and a pretty high score with the grappling route, which is scored very well as price tag, or Valentin KO, which has an underdog price tag. With all the love to Budai and GM3, I think Valentin goes unnoticed. He's one of my favorite pivot plays in the bottom range. On to the main card, Louis Guruli, Odi Osborne. Odi Osborne, I think, just had a tough matchup here because Guruli is going to continue to go forward. His best attributes is his pressure, cardio, and durability. And not only have we seen Odi Osborne lose minutes, but also really break down the fight as the fight goes on. I think skill for skill, Odi Osborne is probably more talented. I think he's a very talented fighter, but I think Guruli is going to have the pace. He's going to have the pressure. He's going to have the boxing volume and the, let's say, aggression to go over there and win minutes with this style. I think he's going to just have more thrown out there and probably look to break Osborne as the fight goes on. I wish the round 3 line was better, but it's only plus 1,000, so probably won't get there. However, on DraftKings, Guruli is a solid option because, again, a lot of this love is going to go towards Torres Finney, to Burrito, who we'll talk about later, and Guruli is more of a pivot play in that mid-range. Not a priority target, but someone who you can get to if you are playing larger tournaments. GM3 and Tavares is another interesting one. I do think Tavares is probably in the decline of his career, but this is a matchup on paper he should win. He is known for his takedown defense and how good he is to keep it on upright. And upright, he's the better striker than Gerald Meerschaert. However, I do think Meerschaert's making improvements. I do think he can probably have a ton of success if this fight does make it down to the ground, because that's where he wants it. And I wouldn't put a victory past GM3. However, I did have to pick Tavares here. If he's any bit of the old version of himself, he does have good takedown defense. And Meerschaert was never known as the best offensive wrestler. He's more of the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. So if Tavares keeps it upright, she'll win this fight. But I think the money coming in on Meerschaert is probably right for this one. It's kind of dog or pass on DraftKings, though. Meerschaert by sub should be a popular option, and I don't mind it. It should be a play I'll get to as well. But with more of that chalk, that's kind of why I want those pivots to Valentin and to Reese McKee that I've mentioned already. Then we have Cortavius Romeus. Cortavius, are you not entertained? Romeus coming in 3.5 pounds heavy over Chang Ho Lee. And I've gone back and forth with this for a while. I think the original line movement was right. because I do think this line was a bit wide. Chang Li is not really offered too much of the UFC. I think the nickname of Korean Khabib is kind of unwarranted, but he does have good cardio, he does have solid wrestling, and he does have a good ability to push a pace through the whole time, to which Cortavius Romas is not that kind of fighter. Cortavius Romas is the moment fighter, those big highlight reels, the big entertainment value. And yes, you can get good slam takedowns, but not the best process in his BJJ, not the most control. And on the feet, although he throws big, powerful shots, not the best minute winner here too. So I actually ended up picking Chang Li. I'm going to cheer for Cortavius Romas. He's fun to cheer for. Got a cool nickname. But I do think Chang Li is probably going to get the better of this as the fight goes on. I do think he's going to win more of the scrambles and the grappling, and probably the better cardio as the fight goes on. We've seen Cortavius Romas lose these exchanges to Gaston Bolanos, and I think Chang Li is just being a bit underrated in that form of his game. Still, not a fight that I necessarily have the most interest in from a betting perspective. More so just want to watch it and be entertained by Cortavius Romas. DraftKings wise, though, you look at this fight, I love this one. You know, you have either the first round offense, the aggression of someone like Cortavius Romas. Someone's going to go out there, look for takedowns, look for spinning kicks, and to score very well and win. But as the fight goes on, Chang Li, one of my favorite pivot plays in the mid-range. You know, a guy who's probably not going to be popular, but who's going to have grappling upside, scramble upside, a ton of volume, ton of pace, and his path to victory is breaking someone Cortavius Romas and putting that pace on him. So I do like Chang Li this week. Should be a very fun fight. Then we have Brito and Sabatini in the co-main. I completely missed the boat on this one. I want to pull this up. I should have bet the under as the fight opened. Now I missed it. It's now all the way down to minus 250 after minus 210 there. Minus 150. I should have bet it up minus 150. I missed that one. But this is a fight that I do think should be just geared towards violence. You look at someone in Brito, he has a ton of power. He is very aggressive in his stuff, and he wants to go out there and take your head off. He is very aggressive in doing so. Sabatini is more of a meticulous ground fighter. He wants to take your back, wants to look to process you and submit you, and he's very good at doing that. And I guess there's a path for him to do that against Brito. I mean, Sabatini is a very competent grappler, and we have seen Brito controlled and submitted before. But I'm on Brito here, and I do like him. Sabatini has been knocked out by some much lesser fighters. His chin is definitely a problem, and Brito's getting a matchup where he's not that much of a smaller fighter here. He's going to have the ability to go out there and be bigger, land the big shots, and I think have the physicality advantage. Is there a world where Sabatini gets to the back and chokes him out? 100%. I'm not discrediting that, but I do think more times than not, Brito's going to go out there, land the big shots, land the power shots, and probably look for that knockout. So I think this fight ends at the distance. This is my favorite fight to target on DraftKings. I love Brito at 8.7K. Should go out there, have good early knockout upside, whereas Sabatini, as an underdog, has a ton of upside to go out there and get an upset submission win. So this fight should score well. I missed the line and the fight doesn't go, but should be a violence-filled co-main event. And then the main event, an interesting one here as well. I think Josh Emmett, you look at here, and he is probably KO or bust, aside from the fact that he's got a ton of power, not the best minute winner, can be taken down, getting up there in years as well. But, you know, he does have a path knocking out Murphy, who has been knocked down before, who has had to fight some tough situations. But I do have to favor Murphy here. He is able to fight those tough situations, able to come out stronger, and I like his resiliency. On the feet, I think he has more volume. On the ground, I think he has more wrestling upside as well, going to those takedowns a few times in the past. And I just have to favor him as the younger fighter who is probably set up for a better spot to succeed here. But the way it works out on DraftKings, it's either the Leon Murphy with 25 minutes to work with wrestling upside, volume upside, and a very good score up top at his price tag, or Josh Emmett's winning is probably by knockout. And at his price tag, he's probably going to break the slate. So I'm also compared to both sides. I favor the Murphy side of things. He's going to be a lot of my core targets when I'm going out there. Him, Brito, and then Chang Li combination is going to be really fun for me as well. But I do have to favor him in this matchup. Should be a fun main event, to one that I have no action on right now, actually, as well. But that's going to do it for me here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. And quickly running through my quick picks: took Lerone Murphy, Joe Anderson Brito, Chang Li, Brad Tavares, Louis Garuli. I really want to pick Robert Valentin, but we did pick Torres Finney, Darny Barbosa, Reese McKee, Loma Lookboonmee, Victor Henry, Yuran Sadabadiev, which is disgusting to say, and Vanessa Demopoulos. DraftKings-wise, again, I love that Brito Sabatini fight. If you look up top at the top range, I do think that Barbosa and Murphy are going to get a lot of love up there. That really leaves more of a contrarian play for someone like Lookboonmee. And then Finney, Garuli, both solid plays in mid-range. Brito, my favorite target on the card. Lee and Romies is another great fight to target because it's probably Lee by attrition and volume or Romies early. And then Sadabadiev is my contrarian play. A ton of love for Budai, and I will also have some Budai, but in the way you look at it too is if he's going to be a huge chalk underdog, you get not only leverage on him, but a guy whose path to victory is probably early violence in Sadabadiev. I will have some at 7.9K. In addition to that, I like McKee's underdog, Sabatini's underdog, and Valentin is my punt play with his knockout upside. Betting wise, again, check out CoolBet using code Gordo. I'll probably bet the under in the Nunes Lookboonmee fights. Props there. probably bet Reese McKee, probably bet some Robert Valentin by KO. I'll spread out some props. So be sure to check me out on Twitter at GamblesGordo to see my full betting card this weekend. And aside from that, guys, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Sorry for bringing this till Friday and not having the stuff set up. I did film the entire video, and I have no mic quality, so I will look to fix that. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you guys checking it here as well. Nicholas, Andrew, grateful dude. Appreciate you all for hanging out here as well. Happy to talk some fights anytime. Before we get out of here, I'm asking if I have a favorite captain for this card. If you are speaking on the showdown slate on DraftKings, or the captain slate on DraftKings, that one's fun, honestly, because there's so many high-scoring options. I think a very popular one this week is probably going to be... Actually, wait, I need to see who's cut off. Let's look. Because there's so many just high-scoring options in terms of ceilings, I do think this will be fun. Let's look. Oh. Well, whatever the cutoff is, if the cutoff's top there, I think if you want to get different, if you want to go full GPP, Valentin's going to have some big leverage over the field there in Finney, but I think that fight as a whole, either Valentin, Finney, or Brito. Brito's probably my safer favorite captain because of his first-round win equity, his knockout equity, or someone like Valentin if you want to get different and afford some of those big guys as well. Finney also has wrestling equity there as well, and Chang Ho Lee could be a bit different. So I guess I'd rank them as Brito, safe option, probably a guy who would go to most of the time. Chang Ho Lee for some GP upside with his volume, his pace, his pressure, his wrestling. And then if you want to get full contrarian, full different, Robert Valentin with his KO upside probably should be very low owned in his own right. Thanks you there. But again, with that out of the way, should be a very fun card. Feel free to leave comments down below. Free to message me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. Best of luck for what is a very interesting card. I hope there's no more fight cancellations, and we will see you next week for a big UFC 315 card. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Wish you all the best of luck in all your DraftKings and betting endeavors, guys. And let's make some money, guys. Peace.